Well, I'm mainly discussing about the time at Thanet College, where I joined in 2003, not long after I left school. I left St Anthony's actually when I was like 15 years old. That was like 5 days before my 16th, actually, to say the least. So when I joined when I was 16, I did have quite a lot of support. Really, it's because of my learning difficulties. I think it's moderate. I don't know what kind I've got. I know I'm quite slow with learning and everything. Yeah, that's all what I've always been though, and I got confused sometimes with line grass and other things, so I've had to ask for support, especially with cooking and that, because I'm quite useless at that, to say the least. But when I was at Thanet College, I joined the vocational access course, even though that wasn't my first option. I wanted to do ICT, because it was what I wanted to do to begin with, but that didn't go well, so I had to join VAC, even though I weren't particularly happy about it, but I just had to get used to the fact that I was going on VAC on the new course. I was worried about making new friends, but then, well, I got used to it. It took a little bit of time. The only reason I was weary is because I got bullied at St Anthony's by 3 people who I thought were my friends. Well, they were Rachel Brown and Claire Brown and Stephen Duffy, even though they said like we didn't mean to do it. Well, they still did it. They still hurt my feelings and not my confidence and self-esteem. That's why I had hardly any. It took a long time for me to get my confidence back, really did, and self-esteem as well. I never told Deborah Wilson, that I got bullied. I never told her, really. I didn't really tell her a lot. There was a lot of stuff I couldn't tell her. There was so much I could not say. But with me, it's because I had confidence issues and trust issues. That's why I found it very hard to tell anybody about the bullying, even though I told my mum. I told my mum about it. But it took me a long time to tell Deb Wilson about what other people were doing. I didn't really like to tell anybody, really, and there were times I didn't like to ask for help or ask for anything, so I'd like to try and do it myself. I was one where I didn't like asking for help. I didn't really like doing it. There were times I had to, especially on VAC. I did try doing things by myself, but there were times I thought, no, I can't, I've got to ask for help. I pushed myself to ask for help. And there were times people said, you've got to ask for help, you can't sit there and struggle. I thought to myself, I know I can't sit there and struggle, but there were times I don't like to ask, But when I did that, it helped, it helped really to ask. I'd say, well, Deborah Wilson was a nice course leader in the first year. She was very helpful towards me and that. We got on very well. I was close to her. She was someone I did look up to at that time. She was there for me when my niece died. So that I wasn't really coping very well anyway. Not then. I had counselling. Did help to some extent, but couldn't do it I don't think I could do it anymore. Maybe it's because I didn't have a lot of faith in myself. When I did the second year of VAC, I did behave quite bad. I wrote about the staff, but it was a mistake. I made a mistake back then. I was making mistakes. I was like 17, 18 years old. I did felt at that time I was getting picked on. That's what it felt to me, but I know some of the staff were trying to help me and look out for me. Maybe I pushed them away, and maybe I didn't realise the error of my ways. Probably took me a long time to see that. I'm not 25 now, even though I'm not at Thanet College anymore. I had to move on from VAC eventually, like 2000 and I think it was 2005, 2006. But I just had to do what was best, even though I wanted to leave VAC course. I near enough did, actually, in the January time of between 2004 2005. I did have enough because I kept getting picked on, kept getting moaned at all the time. It just drove me mad, really. I know it's probably because of my behaviour. Well, back then I didn't realise, did I? I was just too stubborn to see the error of my ways, and I behaved badly writing about the staff. I regretted it after, of course I did. Every time I walked past the student fag area, where they're all, student fag area. I think it was just the smoking area I meant to say, but I know what I meant. Yeah, I did look. I did think to myself, why did I do this? Why did I do these stupid things? You know, saying all them stuff about the staff. I didn't mean it. You know, I just felt I was getting picked on well, more than some of the time. I know Deborah Wilson was trying to help, but it didn't feel like it back then. It felt like I was being picked on. There were times where I wanted to complain, but I thought, no, don't complain, because, you know, it could backfire on me. So I thought, sod it, don't back. Then I said don't backfire. I thought, well, don't report. That's what I meant. And I remember someone in my taxi was picking on me. He said he was going to burn my house down and break my fingers or something. Where he knew I've tried to do it. He pushed me off the chair a couple of times. But that was when I was on IT, and I spoke to the staff about it. Well, I think they were more helpful than what VAC was. I weren't getting enough support like I should have had, really. I think VAC was quite poorly set out. Quite poorly. Well, even though they did the lessons okay, it was just the whole course was more or less not organised very well, really. And I don't think that was Deb's fault. I think it was just the people who told her to run it. It's not her fault. I'm not blaming her for all that. I'm not blaming her for my mistakes, because I made those mistakes, and, you know, I had to live in regret, you know. There were lots of times I wanted to say sorry for my behaviour, you know. After I left VAC, I thought they won't want to hear my apology, so that's why I didn't. Maybe it would have been nice for them to hear an apology. Then maybe I probably would have been respected more. And I know they kept looking at me because I could feel it there. I could feel them looking at me. I could see eyes staring at me, and a few times my friends were telling me that I was being looked at. So I thought, oh shit, it was my behaviour. I thought they would have sort of like got over it after I left, and it probably took a little time, but they'd have had to get over it because I wasn't the student anymore. No, it might have been the responsibility and everything on VAC. But at the end of the day, I did want to do IT because I was more of an IT person than learning new skills. I didn't feel actually learn that much, really. No, not really. And when I went on ICT, the GMVQ ICT, I'm glad I actually got onto the course. It was so great. It made me a lot happier. And I thought I was going places then, but I could have gone places if I hadn't joined VAC. But the only reason it fell apart was because hardly anyone was on the course, so that made it worse for me. But then when I was on IT, I learnt to not grow up more, but I did learn to grow up more, actually. I learnt to be an adult instead of stupid. But then I was young, weren't I? I was immature and was learning about people and about life, you know, how it was. To this day, I do apologise for my behaviour. You know, the way I behaved on VAC, you know. If you're watching Deborah Wilson, I'm sorry for the way I behaved. I really am. You know, you might not believe me now, but look at me now. I'm like 25 years old. Back then, I was like 16 to 18 years old. I weren't really... Well, in the first year I behaved well. It's just the second year I didn't behave that well. I mean, I could have behaved a lot better, and I could have achieved more, and I could have got that award that Daniel Rogers got, you know. I was trying to aim myself to get that, but it didn't work out that way because it was because of my behaviour. I know you were trying to help me, and I was just too stubborn to see it, you know. And I behaved in the bad way, you know, which I regretted and threw it in your face sort of thing. Well, it's just how I dealt with things back then, you know. I know you're probably thinking there's no excuse. I thought, well, you don't. Well, I'm just like thinking you didn't really realise what was really going on. If I'd got on with people from other courses, like performing arts, like Hannah Tahiri, for example, I think I would have got on a lot better. I think I would have achieved more, and I would have believed in myself more. But because I didn't get on with many people and that I didn't believe in myself, I kind of more or less failed. Even though you're probably thinking you didn't fail, but I felt I did achieve. I probably did. I know I did fail. It just made me feel like I failed because of the way I behaved, and I let myself down, let our course down, and you down. I do regret to this day the way I behaved. I know it was like 2005, 2006. It was like years back, but I look back on it most of the time. You know, I'm just I am sorry for what I said about the staff. I didn't mean it. You know, I was explained in the video already. I didn't mean it. I was just angry. I weren't dealing with things very well anyway. My dad's health weren't really helping matters. I weren't getting on with people. Kept arguing all the time. I was getting called retard by email. But that didn't help me. That didn't help at all. You know, and Dan Benson was causing a lot of trouble. Even though he might deny it now, but he was causing trouble. He was causing me and my friends to argue a lot. But what I'm saying is quite true. It's not quite true, it's true. And I'm being honest. Because I'm like 25 years old now. I've learnt to grow up and I've learnt what life's about. And it took me a long time to have a wake-up call, really. Especially when my dad died. He died like 2008. So it took me a long time to wake up and smell the coffee and realise my error of my ways. But anyway, when I was on IT, I learnt a lot more. I did get a merit in the first year. Second year, got a pass, which was I'd say it was still good. It was still good. Did have counselling. That helped, and I was becoming a better person. I was growing up more anyway. Didn't regret my time at Thanet College because it was the best college I went to. So, you know, just getting on with life as best as I can now.